What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA. All right, everybody. Let's talk about these Superman box office projections, man, because look, these joints are all over the place right now, man. These are absolutely everywhere, man. We have no idea what this thing is going to do. Different outlets are dropping different numbers at different times, and everybody's just trying to figure shit out. It's like, yo, did anybody have any really strong idea of what this thing is going to do? Probably not. There's a lot of moving parts when it comes to these box office projections, especially for the opening weekend, because are you taking into account all the sales that they got off of those Amazon tickets? Like, is that coming into play? There's still some of those tickets on sale in certain parts of the country, I believe. But are they taking those into account? Are they building that into the opening weekend? You know, or how does that affect what these projections are for opening weekend? Oh, you went and saw it on Tuesday. You're probably not going to see it on Friday or Saturday. All right, so we exclude those numbers out. I don't know. All right. All I know is every day when I open up the websites and look at it, it's like, oh, Superman's going to make $175 million opening weekend. It's like, oh, shit, that's pretty good. All right. And then it goes, oh, well, Superman's going all the way up to $185 million. All right. I saw that one. And I was like, holy shit, man, Superman about to blow up the spot. But then, oh, nope, it's down to 145. Oh, nope, now it's down to 125 milli. Oh, nope, now it's down to $90 million. Just like, does anybody know what the fuck's going on? Probably not. Yeah, but thatparkplace.com got the article. Shout out to Marvin Montanaro. Superman box office projections plummet below initial expectations as DC and James Gunn brace for opening weekend. Oh, you better believe they braced. You better believe they bracing. They bracing hard right now because, look, they know it's make it or break it for this entire universe. It's coming right down to this movie. Honestly, all the superhero movies might be hinging on how Superman does. If Superman flops and fails, it's a wrap for superhero movies that people aren't just checking for them no more. If you can't get Superman off the ground, what the hell are you doing at this point? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, when they see these box office numbers, like when they're looking at this one here, Hollywood Reporter, they reported $135 million opening weekend. You had Deadline. Deadline came out with this one, $90 million to $125 million. They gave it that range. All right. And then you guys will remember this because I talked about Box Office Theory a couple of times, $154 to $175 million opening weekend. That's wild, right? We saw these numbers. This was back on May the 30th. You can see it down here. We was like, oh, okay, yeah. This is looking amazing. And then just a week ago, this same dude, Box Office Theory, said, oh no, $185 million. So this cat, Box Office Theory, thinks that this thing is going to blow up. And he gives his explanations and shit up in here, right? Yeah, this came out a week ago, June 13th. He gives all of his explanations as to why he thinks it's going to do what he do, you know? Like this guy, like Sean Robbins, I was looking into him, right? He's not just some jackass with a keyboard, all right? This dude is the director of analytics with Fandango. So, I mean, he has some credentials, all right? He has some credits to his name. But yeah, like when he came out with this joint and said, oh, no, $185 million, I was like, whoa. That's the high end, 140 to 185. That was his range. Yeah, I know that James Gunn and them was like, yeah, we like that number too. All right, but the number that's coming out on Deadline, $90 million, that's what's giving everybody a moment of pause. And everybody's like, how is this thing really going to do, okay? But yeah, let's go ahead. Let's read through the article on That Park Place. Let's see what they're talking about. What once looked like a surefire win for James Gunn and the rebooted DC studios is now starting to look a bit shaky. According to new box office tracking, the opening weekend projections for Superman have dropped significantly from an early outlook of 125 to 145 million down to a more realistic range of 90 million to 125 million, depending on the source. Yeah, depending on the source, right? We didn't even go over to 125 to 145. I think that was also in the Deadline article, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, right here. Yeah, this is what they had from NRG, all right? The National Research Group. They do box office projections as well. So this is what the studios got. Oh, it's going to do about 125 to 145. Like I said, they have been all over the place with these projections. Nobody knows what's going to happen. So yeah, it really does depend on the source where you're hearing this information from. Are you getting it from Fandango? Are you getting it from NRG? Are you getting it from some other place? It's just like, whatever, flip a coin. All right, that's kind of where things are right now. That means what was once the low end projection is now the high end best case scenario. It's a considerable fall from grace for what was being touted as the foundation of Gunn's new cinematic universe. The hype versus the hesitation. The film still boasts strong unaided awareness, meaning people are aware of it without being prompted in surveys. It even topped the metric with the score of 30, beating out 2022's Top Gun Maverick, which opened to $126 million. But while name recognition is high, first choice intent, the crucial must-see factor, is trailing well behind recent superhero fare. See, that tells me they're like, we're waiting for the word of mouth. It's not a must-see. I don't need to see this right away until somebody says, you need to go and see this. All right, so it's going to be the word of mouth really that honestly pushes Superman. It might get like 135, 145, somewhere in that range, and then it's going to need strong word of mouth to get it all the way up to the $850 million that I say it needs in order for the Superman not only to make their money back, all right, because they spent $360+ million on this movie, at least before credits and everything. They not only need to get that number to get their money back, but they also need to show that, yes, people are buying into the DC universe. People believe in it, people trust in it, and people are looking forward to seeing what comes next. When you get $850 million in the box office, that's when you can talk. In my opinion, up until that point, it's kind of like, I don't really know. You know, anything above 800 million is probably solid, but I say 850 is the like sweet spot. Get to 850 and then everybody's pumped. Everybody's excited. And you know it. All right. So yeah, the hype ain't necessarily there. They give the comparison to some of these other movies and everything. You know, that's how they kind of look at some of these box offices, you know. But to me, it's like, okay, Thor, it's like the fourth Thor. It's kind of a tough comparison when you're comparing it to the first Superman. The Batman, this is more of a better comparison because it's a new iteration of Batman. Like this is a new iteration of Superman. It's not, but this one didn't launch a universe. All right, so it's not necessarily fair. And then Guardians 3, which was also directed by Gunn, debuted at 118 million. So yeah, this is where everybody's like, yeah, it's probably gonna come in somewhere around James Gunn's last movie. But again, name recognition. Superman is a much bigger character than Guardians or Thor, you know, and maybe right on par with Batman, maybe a little bit behind or below, depending on where you guys are with it. But yeah, Superman is currently tracking below all three of those movies in first choice metrics. And again, that's like a must-see type thing. I think folks are waiting. I think people are waiting. And I think a lot of it does have to do with the marketing. If you marketed this as strictly a Superman movie and nothing but a Superman movie, I think you get better results in that first choice metric. But, you know, it's been James Gunn in the damn marketing, all right? Everybody's like, there's James Gunn again. You know, yeah, I like James Gunn, but I don't necessarily want to see him in the marketing all the damn time. All right, sell the movie with the actors. That's what they should have been doing. I think a lot of that has to do with that. It also has to do with the fact that you're trying to establish a superhero universe, a brand new superhero universe, in an era where superhero universe are kind of on the outs. All right, people are kind of sick and tired of the superhero universe. And here's James Gunn with yet another superhero universe. I don't think that it was smart to market the movie with those guys in it. I'm talking about Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific, Hawkgirl, and everybody else that like these side characters. You know, you're building out your universe. Yes, I get it, but you don't have to put them in the marketing. Make this thing about Superman, all right? The movie should have been strictly about this dude right here, all right? Superman, all right? Preferably him not getting his ass kicked in every damn shot, too, all right? Superman being heroic. Superman, yeah, you can show him getting a couple of lumps on him. That's fine. But Superman being heroic, truth, justice, in the American way, that should have been all over the marketing. You know, so I think that's a major, major problem. And I think that's why they're seeing that number. Now, again, if it comes out and the word of mouth is solid, I think everybody's going to go and watch it anyway. So we might be getting a balance of both where it's not a great start, but it legs out all the way if it's a good movie. It's going to have to be a good movie. Even more concerning, Marvel's troubled Captain America Brave New World had a 71% higher first choice rating than Superman at the same point in tracking, and that film still opened to just $88 million. Yeah, I think Superman's brand name is going to hit overseas. All right, so when we're talking about the worldwide number, maybe the domestic number starts out slow. I think overseas, Superman is going to hit a lot bigger because he's a bigger character. You know, people know who Superman is. And then when you start throwing things like kaiju, it's like, shit, Superman's fighting a kaiju in this thing. Oh, and then you got Crypto. It's like, oh, man, we got Crypto. You know, the scenes that we've seen in the Fortress of Solitude, this like cool alien looking type place. It's like, oh, this is interesting. He's got these robots. Everything that they have shown so far with Superman it invites people that really aren't familiar with all of the comic book stuff to say, hey, this is going to be your opportunity to dig into what Superman is in the comics. This is your opportunity to do that. And I think a lot of people will be intrigued to give this Superman a shot versus like if it was just a regular run-of-the-mill Superman movie, which like, all right, it's Superman, it's Lex, and there's some sort of, battle for whatever. And it's not necessarily like all of this fantasy. All right, we're seeing like fantastical stuff happening. I don't think people would have checked for that Superman more readily than they'll check for this one, which has some different elements. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, of course. What's changed? He says it's worth asking, why is Superman, the supposed crown jewel of the DC's new direction, suddenly struggling to maintain momentum after a record-breaking trailer and a strong first day of ticket sales? One possible explanation lies in James Gunn himself. He's in too much of the marketing. I absolutely believe that. He's in too much of the marketing. He also says the filmmaker has made a habit of sharing behind-the-scene updates and personal interpretations of the character on social media almost constantly. While transparency is often praised, it may have backfired in this case. Gunn previously mentioned his version of Superman wouldn't be overpowered, raising eyebrows among longtime fans who expect the Man of Steel to be, well, super. Yeah, I think that is also a problem. Don't tell us you're Superman. Don't give us that stuff. Let us discover that for ourselves. Like, why even put that out there? Oh, he's not going to be overpowered. Like, that's like a spoiler almost, man. Like, why are you telling us this? We've had different variations of Superman where Superman is like godlike. And then also where Superman, kind of does take some lumps, He's the most powerful superhero, but he can take some lumps against the right people, So, it all depends. But yeah, that's kind of stupid. Again, James Gunn talks too much. He talks way too much. He needs to be the director, and he needs to let the actors and all of these other folks go out there and let them promote. And somebody in marketing should have caught on to that from all of the stuff that we were seeing from the very beginning and say, hey, get James out of the marketing, y'all. This dude talks way too damn much. Get him out of the marketing. We don't need this, all right? This is going to become an issue. The marketing and promotion of the movie seems to center around Gunn himself and not Superman. Instead of leaning on the iconic character and propping up David Corenswet, the charismatic and charming lead of the film, just about every news that's come out about the movie for months has centered around James Gunn. I think they're trying to sell like, hey, James Gunn, you guys like him in these superhero movies, don't you? Because he did Guardians 1, 2, and 3. You guys like those, didn't you? Suicide Squad got pretty good ratings. Oh, you guys like that, didn't you? All right, Peacemaker. Oh, you guys like Peacemaker. A lot of people, Peacemaker with the opening theme and all that. Oh, you guys like that, right? Well, it's James Gunn. Yes, and I think they tried to sell it, and that's fine. You could have said from the makers of blah, 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 and then just left it alone. Leave it at that and move on. There's no reason to have James Gunn showing up in promos, all right? Zero reason for that. That's the major issue. But yeah, I think with these box office projections that we've been seeing, it's going to be hard to pin it down. Again, I don't know if they're baking into these numbers the opening weekend or the opening night, that Tuesday, and however much they're going to make off of those Amazon pre-sales, which is coming on July 8th. 2 days before you can see it in theaters, June 10, obviously the Thursday night previews. I don't know if they're baking those numbers into some of these projections and saying, yeah, that's all a part of it, or if this is strictly opening weekend, and then they'll count that as something else. And they'll say, all right, yeah, like coming in, it already had $20 million in its pocket, and now it goes on to make $145 million, let's say. So it's like, all right, so is that really like 145 or 135, whatever it is, or do we have to tack on that additional $20 million it made on Tuesday? Who knows? But y'all let me know what y'all think. I think ultimately it just comes down to how much money does this thing make overall. That's the only number that really matters. It could open up low and leg it out. It could open up beautifully and bomb. All right, we've seen it all happen. So it's really going to depend on if this is a good movie, because they need to set up an entire universe with this. And if they don't do that, it's already over. All right. But anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think. Go ahead, jump down in the comments. Give me your thoughts and opinions on that. And thanks for watching. See you next time.